Hi guys! Today I'm going to talk to you about book swapping. Now, you may think, why swap books? When I can get books from the library, I can buy books, I can just go to a charity shop if I want a second-hand book. Well, the great thing about book swapping is you can find specific books, which you can't guarantee with charity shopping or even with the library. Obviously you can use your library catalogue to look up and see if they've got a book in stock and you can order it in. But if it's a book that was published in a different country, it's harder for you to get hold of that way. And another thing is that it's just a lot of fun. You can build up relationships with people and make new friends through book swapping. It was kind of like having pen pals in a way sometimes. So I have 3 websites that I'd recommend if you're interested in swapping books. The first one is bookmooch.com. Bookmooch has been going for a really long time and it's got a point system. So you list 10 books, you get a point, and then you can use that point to request books from other people and then they will send them to you. It's international, so you can send books all over the world, and I got so many books when I used to use Bookmooch regularly that weren't published in the UK. It was a lot cheaper than buying them new because sometimes imports can be really expensive. It's a great way to get books that you need for university or school because they're quite often listed on there in high numbers, and it's just fab. I really recommend Bookmooch. There was a Bookmooch journals project that I used to take part in, where people would send round journals on different themes, and then you'd get it and you'd write a little, you'd write a page or a couple of pages on whatever theme that was, and you'd send it on to the next person. The idea is once it's gone all around the world and all the pages are full, it gets sent back to the first person who then gets to keep it. And in the meantime you get to look at all the things that people put in there before. A quite different site but with the same general idea is readitswapit.co.uk. Read It Swap It is a UK only website. The main difference between Read It Swap It and Bookmooch is that you swap directly with people. So you have to have a book that they want and they have to have a book that you want for the swap to work. This means that I always found it harder to arrange swaps. I was kind of at a disadvantage because I found Read It Swap It after Bookmooch, and I'd already been using Bookmooch for about a year or so, and so I'd already given away my most desirable books through Bookmooch. When I did get swaps, it was fantastic. It was really, 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 really brilliant. People would write little notes, and also, as much as I love Bookmooch, the Read It Swap It forum is a lot better. There's a real community atmosphere there. People write book reviews, and there's lots of book chat. People comment on articles published in the press about books. And it's just a really fun place to go. I mean, even if you're not interested in swapping books, I recommend you check it out because it's really nice. The third site I'm going to recommend is not really a site for swapping books, and it's Book Crossing. I think a lot of people have probably heard of Book Crossing. The idea is that you get a little label with a Book Crossing identification number on it, and you stick it inside a book, and then you leave the book in public. Obviously this is a way of getting rid of books, not a way of getting new books, but people do leave hints on the website when they've just made a book drop. So if you're really dedicated, you could go round and try to find the books that people have left places. And I always really enjoy finding books with Book Crossing labels in them and leaving a little note about where I found them. I don't get them very often these days. I never found one in the wild. I had got a couple through Bookmooch, but I love the idea of finding out what happens to your books, because I get really attached to my books, even the ones that I don't want to keep. I still hope they end up in good hands and someone really enjoys them. Alternatively, you can swap books offline. I also get a lot of books when friends are just getting rid of them. There's also swaps with work colleagues. In the past, I've worked places where they've had a little book swap shelf. Now, when I was planning this video, I was thinking a lot about book swap shelves, and I have noticed quite a few in the last year in pubs and cafes, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if there was a list of all these kinds of places in London? So on my blog I've decided to create this list, and I'm going to put the link in the description box. So if you know anywhere in London, I live in London, so I'm afraid it's going to be London centric. Feel free to steal this idea for your own regions, countries, whatever. yeah, let me know if you know somewhere where there's a book swap shelf, and I'll add it to my listing. I do have a look at book swap shelves in places when I see them, and I have got a couple of books this way. Number one, if you're going to join Bookmooch or Read It Swap It, especially the latter, try to have as broad a range of books as possible. You might need to go out and do some digging in charity shops and try to find some more books to put on your list, because the more books you have, the more likely it is that someone will swap with you, and people can be quite picky on Read It Swap It in particular. You know, if you've got like 3 Dan Brown books and one of the Twilights, nobody will swap with you. I can guarantee. People post on the forums every now and then about how annoying it is to somebody with such a limited range of really common, easy to find books has asked to swap with them. So yeah, don't do that. Another thing is, as this is all about saving money, send multiple books if you can. People quite often run deals like you would in shops on Bookmooch. They post about it in the forums and then put a little note in the description of the book, and say I'm running 2 for 1 on romance books or whatever, because they want to move their books faster, and also because it just makes more sense to send more than one book. You know, there's kind of a base price for sending a book, and after that it doesn't really cost that much more to send another one. So if you can find someone who wants to swap more than one book with you, then that is great. Another thing is to save packaging from other purchases. I didn't have to buy a single padded envelope the whole time that I book swapped, because my dad bought loads of stuff off eBay, and so I just get him to save his envelopes, and then I put my books into the envelope and take them to the post office, and off they went. Another tip, I don't know if this one's only true if you're in the UK, is to not try to put the stamps on the package yourself. Take the package to the post office and get them to weigh it and give you a price label, because quite often, because I was overly concerned about getting the right postage, and I was worried that my scales weren't that accurate, I overestimated how much it was going to cost to post a book, and so when I got to the post office I was pleasantly surprised when it cost less. And also because if you don't put enough postage on a book, the person who receives it is going to get a hefty charge, because not only do they have to pay the remaining postage, but they also have to pay an admin fee, and they're not going to leave you good feedback if you do that. For real life book swaps, if you're going to an event, ask on Twitter or on your blog or on Facebook or whatever if anybody else is going, and would they like to swap books with you. Look out for various events. I know lots of bloggers do swaps at Christmas and just generally throughout the year. If you're not a blogger or a vlogger, you could try swapping with friends, you could try swapping with colleagues, you could suggest that your workplace makes a shelf for swapping books, you could suggest that your school does that, or your university. I hope you found this guide to swapping books useful. Don't forget to like this video if you did, and subscribe to Bookish Brits if you haven't already. Bye!